Hey besties, it's me, Mila, and along with our late night weekly facial and face steaming, we are going to talk about healing from internalized misogyny. Today, I want to talk about the newest journaling prompt on the market, and that is healing from internalized misogyny. And everything that I have gone through, whether experiencing girly pops that have had internalized misogyny, to how I am coping with finding myself, my sovereignty, and my freedom and all of this madness. Because honestly, when it comes to healing from internalized misogyny, there's a few things that we have to keep in mind. Like, first off, what does it actually look like and what does it do to women? It actually makes us feel and look smaller. Basically, I'm a firm believer that internalized misogyny is normalizing toxic humility, which basically means that we feel the need to make ourselves as women smaller, more palatable, more consumable for a mass audience. And that has a lot to do with a handful of things. Like if you notice that you are like a ditzy girl, or you always notice that you felt like you needed to hide your intelligence from the rest of the world, that's a sign that you are trying to adapt or learn how to cope with internalized misogyny, because we are now suddenly playing a role that is inherently benefiting men. Why do men benefit from internalized misogyny? Well, there are so many aspects that go into that. Well, for example, when we make ourselves smaller and consumable, no matter what, the narrative that is being built is that we are trying to become less like feminine, in the sense where we are told to reject all the things that are associated, traits that are associated with being a woman. It's misogynistic, and it's inherently identifying as femininity and womanhood as weak, which is not the case at all. The fact that we need to make ourselves more palatable to men by rejecting the femininity and also rejecting women-centered relationships is what is basically the reason why internalized misogyny women is benefiting the patriarchy. Remember, men are different from the patriarchy. Men have the ability to be humbled and to be, sequestered by the patriarchy. But in actuality, the patriarchy inevitably benefits nobody. Just to keep that in mind. We're going to talk about what internalized misogyny looks like. We're going to talk about toxic humility and how come we live in a world where they just can't help it, where we feel the need as women to cope by making us smaller. So I want to talk about how can we go about, coping with toxic humility, and also how can we work on ourselves to heal from toxic humility and also heal from internalized misogyny for a happier, healthier, better life. Now, I'm going to go a little bit deeper into what internalized misogyny does to our body, to our soul, to our relationships. Basically, what happens is that we are inherently guiding ourselves into a form of exclusion, where it's also interfering with our safety, because it's safety in numbers. Because what happens is that basically now women are feeling behaviorally the ability to isolate themselves from other women by separating and sequencing, by making other women feel small because they need to feel small in order to make themselves palatable for the almighty powerful man. Now, the problem with that is that when you make yourself refined and bite-sized, you are inherently perpetuating a narrative that being masculine and being a man is good, and being feminine and or a woman is not. And even if a woman is not hyper-feminine, she's still a woman. So there's not much we can do. In ancient Greece, it went through the same battle. We've been through the same battle over and over and over again. With my tea, because I have a no bummers rule, so I just need to get the bummer out of me. Give me a moment. I'll be using the Medicube Red Succinate Acid Peeling Pads. They do not actually peel your skin, but oh boy, do I feel gorgeous and clean afterwards. But basically, with internalized misogyny, it is a behavioral system that is teaching us not just to make ourselves smaller, but also to isolate ourselves from other women. Therefore, not just seeming more independent and not ingraining into the sheep versus wolf culture, but actually making us more emotionally dependent on the validation of men, which are the main givers of the narrative in a patriarchal society. So inherently, the people who benefit from women having internalized misogyny will always be men, because your safety will be compromised, because you will not want to have female-centered relationships. Therefore, you have to have these authority figures in life, or you have to seek validation from people that don't automatically value you as a person. That's something you have to keep in mind. And yes, these are gentle enough where I feel comfortable putting them against my eyelids, but when you have enough juice, I want you to go behind the ear, ooh, and especially by the jawline, because I have some zits by the jawline that just go unnoticed. I like to say something in my skincare journey that you could just stop there and your skin will be good. Sometimes simpler is better, but girl, we don't want simple tonight. Basically, there are two different types of people in this world. There are takers and there are ruiners. I believe men just happen to have the capacity to be both at the same time. And I know that sounds like such a Debbie Downer kind of moment, and like I said, this is not me trying to be a man hater, but this is me just laying down the groundwork for this discussion of why it's so important for us to not have internalized misogyny, what it looks like in women, us interpersonally when we look at ourselves, and what it looks like when we treat other women, which is tearing women down because it's not safe to be seen, it's not safe to be big and beautiful and fun, it's not safe to be exquisite. And therefore, we have to lead with toxic humility, because people are always taught to make themselves small. You are dubbing down your intelligence. We've all experienced it before. Think about it. It happened to me when I was in high school, where I started playing the little ditzy cutesy role because I realized people were threatened by my intelligence because it came within the figure of this goddess. That's something that all girls have gone through. So now that I realized that all this time I was dubbing down my intelligence in order to become more palatable, more likable, this realization was the reason why I'm healing now from internalized misogyny, because it starts with awareness. Being aware of what behaviors and actions that you have been pursuing that have actually been the forefront of internalized misogyny, that have never benefited you to begin with, but feel like survival instincts when it comes to being in a group collective. A little bit of some Olaplex bonding oil, which is patented, by the way, so it can't be duped. I'm not going to style or put my hair in rollers because I put it in last night, and I also just blew it out the night before too, so I think I'm just going to let it do its thing. Back to business. So when we go about that, it is so important, not just for our sovereignty, but also for our safety, that we fight against internalized misogyny so we could become more interconnected, more connected with the women in our life, more connected with ourselves, and free, and just overall healthier and happy. Get into all the ways that I have been healing from internalized misogyny. So, step one is identity work, not just understanding on self-improvement. Screw self-improvement in this case. You are focusing on identity building. You are figuring out who you are. You want to start having epiphanies about the way your beautiful mind and brain work, even if they seem negative. Like, for example, oh my gosh, I have attachment issues. It was so freeing when I figured that out. Like, although it's a negative thing, it was freeing. It was the most freeing thing that I could have ever gone through. Ooh, that's hot. Just need a little like a healthy shimmer and shine. Just a little plumpness, just a little gloss. Oh, that's nice. Basically, self-identity work is most important. Finding out who you are undeniably, in spite of what others' limitations are imprinted onto you. That is the journey, to figure out who the hell you are if no one else was telling you no. Don't figure out who you want to be, figure out who you wanted to be when you were younger. Basically, go back to a time where you did not experience the adult version of no's. And keep in mind, just because someone's like, oh, you can't do that, that's too hard. First off, if something matters enough to you, you would do what it takes to get it, even if it's inconvenient for you. Do not let others' limitations be imprinted on your identity of your abilities. Let's cut that out. Let's cut that out. Steamy face, milky toner. Okay, whew. I also want you to practice self-love, self-actualization, and self-determination. All the selves. Because if you start developing a really concrete self-concept, you are able to define yourself and have this abundant amount of self-love that just makes me so overjoyed to be me. And I have learned to expand my social circle to be more open to new experiences with women. And I'm not cutting out the men in my life. I'm not basically cutting cold turkey. I'm not giving my high school friends the cold shoulder. No, I'm just simply prioritizing female bounds, women on women bounds, like just bonding. Bonding with these people is one of the most crucial things anyone can do. On top of that, I am now much more reserved and picky or choosy of who I let into my life romantically, especially when it comes to a man. I am not saying that I'm practicing full-blown celibacy. I have done that successfully before and it works. But most importantly, I want to really reiterate that most likely you just need to be a little bit more picky and choosy of who you let into your life. It's really that easy, because by basically mitigating what dating apps are perpetuating, which was the unlimited abilities, where you're just like, oh, that's okay if it didn't work out, on to the next person, it's just a numbers game. I want you to put the human back in human connection, where now we are establishing that people aren't villains, people aren't heroes, people are people, and are complex beings that are allowed to be more than one-dimensional. You are allowed to be more than one-dimensional. You are allowed to falter, just as you are allowed to succeed. Head, and just kind of do these circular motions just to kind of get everything out. I want you to practice not making yourself small. I want you to practice understanding your worth, building a life of abundance and happiness free from men. Not saying that you have to like live in a commune when you're older and adopt children and all that stuff. Although that would be fun, that's not what I'm going for here. I want you to know that in order to heal from internalized misogyny, you need to first go through the steps I've talked to at the beginning of the video, which is understanding what it looks like in you, what it looks like in other women, and also internalizing what negative beliefs about myself, what behaviors do I have that actually perpetuate or are actually a part of internalized misogyny. Once we figure out those things, it builds us the identity of being able to know where to start. Ooh, she turned off. She's empty. These are my favorite things in the whole world, by the way. Overall, let's basically reiterate the things that make a pivotal difference in basically healing from internalized misogyny. And that is number one, limiting romantic relationships and really limiting the influence men have in our lives. Don't cut cold turkey, but if you feel like you need to, then go for it. But I personally think that you can easily have the best of both worlds. You just want to not have this emotional attachment for a bit, and you want to build your self-concept through love, through patience, through enthusiasm, and through curiosity. You want to expand your circle and become more connected with the women around you. You want to also do things that make you feel good about yourself. And I'm not just saying self-care. No, girly, not just self-care. That are coming out for the first sheet mask of summer 2026. But it's time for you to stop making yourself small. You need to realize how much of a goddess you are. You are a goddess, girly. I want you to start realizing really, really quickly, not just your worth, but your talent and the things that make you powerful, because you can be powerful and you can be kind at the same time. You have the ability to be more than what others think you should be for the sake of them. you have the ability to enhance and to accentuate and to embrace the natural power you have in your life while also being a kind person. You know? I love this stuff. Love this stuff. Love this stuff. Oh, sorry. I had like a weird like lapse of like daydreamingness. But as we are finishing up, I want to go a little deeper. I need you to do things, hobbies, read, learn, grow, things that make you feel powerful, things that make you realize you're powerful, and take the things that you were once ashamed of and don't hide from them anymore. Don't do that anymore. I want you to make a list of all of your positive and negative traits. I want you to look at your negative traits. I want you to redefine them and realize that when you rephrase them, when you fully realize that they were not negative traits to begin with, but they were things that were inherently deemed negative or inappropriate for a woman to have, you know, because of misogyny. So it's time to basically take away the self-judgment, take away the rules set that you set for yourself because you thought you needed to set these rules this way, and go about life in a way that is beautiful and suited and just overall helpful for you emotionally. Healing from internalized misogyny is not a one-size-fits-all. It takes work. The girlies need to know it takes work. That's why I went on my little tangent talking about what it looks like, why we need to bite it in the butt, and also why taking care of ourselves, understanding our worth, our sovereignty, and really, really embracing abundance in our life and feeling, basically really paying attention to what really is holding us back is the crucial step to healing from internalized misogyny, which does not just hold you back from love, happiness, and success, but also holds you back from interconnectedness with the people in your life and also your safety. Already, this was Mila's Thoughts Lately, where I don't just do video essays, I also do Get Ready With Me's talking about my life and the creative journey to happiness, love, and success. If you vibe with this video, you know what to do. Hit the plus button, like the video, leave a comment, share the love, do all that good stuff. I also have a Substack where I talk about the beauty industry and popular culture through a feminist lens so we can decode what the beauty industry and self-care rituals are trying to tell us about us, not as consumers, but as a collective as well. Guys, on the flip side, peace, love, and happiness.